playing
Game
that.
started.
Oh, MGI Blonde from Canada. Let's try D4 again. Got a French defense last time I tried D4. Let's see if I can get a normal D4 type of opening. Okay. Could be a King's Indian or a Grunfeld. Okay, I like to play the Grunfeld main line, which is to just take the pawn and then kick the knight and say, I've got a big center, what have you got? Of course, white can, black can undermine the center. That's his play. Actually, I usually play the move knight to e2 instead of knight f3. Knight f3, the knight can be pinned, although it's been shown, I guess, that that's not a serious problem, the pin on the knight. But I'm wondering here if I should take with the knight. That would leave my pawn structure looking kind of funny. Okay, so this is how it's played. Everybody's attacking this poor pawn. And if I move it forward, the knight here, the rook in the corner can be taken by the bishop. I can defend with bishop to b2, maybe. Try and break the pin. Doesn't really break the pin because the bishop is also loose. But how can he now undermine? If he plays e4, then I can play... if he plays e5, then I can play d5. And if he maneuvers the knight, that takes a little bit of the pressure off. Where does the bishop want to go? Here. Here. Don't particularly want to trade that bishop just yet. Not for a knight. And I want to play rook to b1 to defend the bishop, and then I should have some control over my center. Yeah, this is my idea. The bishop could be routed back to c2, and maybe that's a useful square as well. If I was just to go back directly, I would have had to go to b3, where he might have taken it. Knight takes b3. Not that that's the end of the world, but I keep my bishop a little while longer this way. He gets two moves with his pawns on the queen side, which may be a problem in the long run, but it's not immediately a problem. Oh, this guy, very persistent with his knight. Okay, he's hitting these dark squares. They're all covered, however. At the moment, they're all covered. So maybe queen to queen d3, pawn d5, that kind of thing. Trade off this guy. He can play b4 here, hitting my knight. I can take his, he just is very persistent. Okay. I will push forward in the center and trade off these bishops. The center is unstable. It's one of the problems with the Grunfeld from the white side. So you cannot maintain those pawns there, and you have to choose your moment to push forward, sometimes even sacrificing the exchange here, but I didn't think it was right to do in those circumstances. So now if he pushes forward, I can take. He can move his knight with a tempo on my queen. So the question is if he has any great tempo moves. But I don't think so. Like knight here and here attack my rook, but also I can just take the knight. So he decided to trade bishops, and I think this should be okay for me. He can still play b4. My queen will just have to move again. So where do I want to go? Maybe d4 here is a good central location. And bishop to b3 now. Put a little pressure on that knight. Bishop b3, rook c1. that kind of thing. Maybe the other rook should come to c1, because the bishop is looking at the f rook through the knight. So some clever knight move might cause trouble. So rook c1 first, then bishop b3. Let's see, do I yet have any attacking ideas? I think not. Yeah, I think I just have to enjoy the big center for a little bit. He goes there. So he's defending the rook, the knight in advance of any problems. And also preparing some tempo move with the knight. So I'm getting the rook out of f1 and defending my bishop. The bishop was loose back here as well, amongst my other problems. Now maybe knight to... okay, so he goes there. He really wants to trade a knight for a bishop. At one of these points, maybe I should allow that, but not here. Actually, that's not a trade. He's just threatening to win the bishop there. Forces a trade of rooks. If he wants it. But, well, now I can go to e5 and then maybe to c6. That would be a good square for my knight. And actually make use of my pawns in the center. So what's he coming up with here? Pretty sharp player. He's always making moves with threats, which is a good way to play, actually. Threats motivate the game, but you've got to make sure your threats lead to positions that are what you want. So yeah, once again, a move with a threat. He's threatening to take my queen. Let's see, where do I go? I could throw in rook takes, but that actually kind of gives up the c file. So if I just maintain the rook there, where is his knight going next? Go to these dark squares. And I'll just draw back here. It's a square where I can't immediately be attacked by the knight or the bishop. Let's see, rook to c3 is an attack, but I can trade it off. Still thinking of knight somewhere. Oh, so he goes knight c3, okay. Yeah, that's interesting. There's this check here, which of course is a fork of my king and the rook. If I play knight to e4 to cover that, he can try and chase my knight away with the pawn move. Pawn takes, I take en passant. I think it's okay. I maybe should just play pawn to h3 and king to h2 to get away from some of this stuff, but for the moment I'm holding on to the e2 square. I can't play king f1 because the bishop controls f1. I could also move the rook off of off the back rank, off of the c1 square, and go rook c2. That maybe is a bit weakening of the back rank in general. So, but maybe it's safe to play here. Rook c2. Let's see. You know what he's got? He's got a move like pawn to a4 here, hitting my bishop. So rook c2 would be a bad idea because it would trap the bishop. If he plays a4 here, I can play bishop to c2. So the queen goes there. Yeah, this is interesting. Well, my queen is defended. Let's see, he can go here, knight takes, bishop takes, knight take his queen. So here knight takes, he takes my queen, I take, and then he takes. So he doubles my pawns that way. And it's something to worry about, I guess. But what can I do about that? Rook to e1 maybe. Giving up the c-file for the moment. But, well, those threats were kind of annoying. Now if he checks me, I can actually just... No, I can't. I still have to take. Okay, so he's going to double on the c-file here. Let's make an escape square for my king. Allow him to double on the c-file. I can still contest the c-file with the other rook to c1 because the queen and rook are supporting the rook there. See, I might consider an active move here. His queen is loose, right? So knight here, queen takes, knight takes. If I could take something with check. Yeah, maybe when he first moved a rook to c1, I had something there. If I could induce him to move his king to f8, that would be good. Knight here, check. Would pick up the queen. But I can't think of a trick to get his king to that square. Okay, so maybe now knight c6. Knight c6, queen takes queen, rook takes queen. Kind of shuts down his play on the c-file. Asks him what he wants to do with his queen. Also threatens the a-pawn if he moves his queen back. So probably queen takes, rook takes. And then we go from there. What moves does this knight have? It still has these dark squares it can come in on. Maybe I need to get a rook to the d-file actually and push ahead with d6 at some point. Well, we may get to the point where time becomes a factor. Okay, he decided to trade. So I thought rook takes. And then we'll see where we get. This knight puts pressure on the e-pawn. Okay, so he goes to dissolve the e-pawn. So why don't I double my rooks on the e-file? Takes, pawn takes, and gives me a passed pawn here supported by the bishop and an open file for my rooks to play on. And actually I'm immediately threatening knight to e7 check. So he dodges that. So how about rook to e7? Rook e7, rook takes, and then maybe knight here to double up on the f-file, and also to just exchange things off and go into an endgame where this passed pawn will be good. The other idea here is to take the a-pawn. I should consider that. Knight takes a4. Can he invade or attack my pawns? I think he can get to this square is what he can do. But why don't I just grab the pawn while I can? And if his bishop goes to b7, I will take it. Okay, but he went to this square. Okay, I'll get my knight back to c6 and also hitting the b4 pawn. My pawn is defended, and his knight can come into this square, the square, the square. I don't see any big threats. And maybe still rook c7 if he plays there. Okay. So I can grab the b pawn, and that'll eliminate his last threatening-looking pawn and actually weaken his knight. And it will defend this d pawn for the moment. So his knight's well defended, so maybe it's not so weak. But the d pawn is adequately defended. There's no way to attack the knight. Let's start pushing the d pawn forward. That's my next step. He should play a move like rook to d7 or rook to d8, right? Get in front of the pawn. But if he does that, then I can pile up on his knight, pin his knight. Yeah, he plays it that way. So he's got 3 attackers, and I only have 2 defenders. So rook here trying to win the knight. Plays knight takes pawn because his rook is defended by the bishop. I play rook takes rook. He plays knight takes rook. Okay, this is complicated. Rook here. Knight takes pawn. Rook takes rook. Knight takes rook. So I take the knight. He takes my rook. And then I can get something back here, right? No, this he's just won a pawn there. But a lot of pieces have come out, and I still have this outside passed pawn. So I think this will be a helpful transformation. Oh, he just goes back there. Then I'll move the pawn forward. Try and make it difficult for him to defend the knight. Keep moving the pawn forward. If he moves this rook again, then at least I queen. And if he moves his knight sideways, then I can grab. If he moves his rook sideways, then I grab the knight. So I come out a piece up. So that's a good deal. Let's see. So now I don't need. I need to make sure I don't relax too soon here. Get my knight to safety. I was going to put my knight on this e3 square. And then, well, how can I harass this king? Yeah, I can play a check here now and get rid of some more material. Getting material off helps me. Yes, so he's attacking this pawn. Let's defend it.
Black resigns.
Okay, well, I put up a good fight there. Interesting game. Hope you guys enjoyed it. I will see you again soon. Bye.